chess, there are three main parts to a game: the opening, the middle game, and the end game. Oftentimes games end during the opening and the middle game, often because of lack of material or horrible moves. And however, another reason is that players are not able to evaluate whether or not the move that they are wanting to play is good or bad, meaning your opponent oftentimes takes advantage of that move. In this video, we will be covering how to evaluate your moves and how to play the best moves you possibly can, winning you a lot more chess games. Now, the main acronym we'll be focusing on is SWOT: strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Now, I know you may be thinking that this video is not for you. Maybe you think that you should learn this later on, or you know this stuff already. However, this video will truly make you win a lot more games and make you a better chess player. Let's start. There will be 4 steps to the thinking process, which stands for SWOT: strengths, which is SWOT: strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. We'll start off with strengths and weaknesses, the more basic ones. When thinking about playing a move, the easiest and most influential way is to think about its strengths and weaknesses. For example, in this situation, White wants to play the move pawn to d3. However, he has to consider what this will gain White and what White will lose, positionally. So if the pawn was on d3, what would we gain? Well, it would add more support to the center, defending the e-pawn, as well as opening up the diagonal for the dark squared bishop, allowing it to develop. You will also control the c4 square and the e4 square potentially later on. However, what are the weaknesses? An obvious one is if the pawn moves to d3, this knight will have no defender, making it vulnerable to attacks and threats. The white bishop would be completely blocked in, and making it a hindrance, and the white king is slightly weaker, being exposed to potential pins and checks on the diagonal. Those are the strengths and weaknesses of this move. Now let's evaluate a different move: bishop to b2. Let's apply the same process again. This move's strengths are that it adds extra support to the c3 knight, adds support to the rook, and develops the bishop on the long diagonal, making it useful later on in the game. However, let's now consider the weaknesses. One that I can think of is that this pawn loses defender. However, there are 2 other pieces guarding it, so it shouldn't be a problem. Another issue is that this bishop is undefended on this square, meaning it can be attacked. However, there are no immediate threats to the bishop, so that is also disregarded. Now let's compare the 2 moves: bishop to b2 or pawn to d3. Which is better? It should be obvious. The answer is bishop to b2. Now this was analyzing on a basic level. This is only thinking about the current move, not thinking later on. However, the last 2 parts of the acronym, opportunities and threats, are more detailed and advanced, forcing you to think ahead and plan ahead. Now we will take a step further and make proper calculations. Let's start with opportunities. Let's have a look at this game. The material is equal and it's Black's turn to move. He plays knight to e4. Now we need to apply the same checklist, but for your opponent's move. What are its strengths? Well, the knight becomes centralized, giving it more mobility. The knight is well defended as well by both the pawn and the bishop, as well as attacks 4 squares that I've highlighted or that I have marked. 2 of those we need to be careful about, the ones closest to the king. We do not have any pawns to attack the knight, making it very hard to remove it. And the final one is the diagonal for the dark squared bishop for black becomes open, making it a more active piece. Now what can he capture? Well, this pawn on c3 can be captured, but it's well defended. He can also take the knight, but that is also well defended. So there are a few things to watch out for, but nothing to be worried about. Now let's look at some opportunities for us. Any holes open that we can squeeze through. Now the knight back here would be defending these squares. But when it moved to e4, one of them that was left open is winning. Can you spot it? Well, it's obviously d7, poking the rook, queen, and the king. It cannot be attacked, and we will win the queen at least. Now this is the full power of the SWOT process. By following this 4-step process, we were able to weed out any not so great moves, find strengths in our moves, and find holes in the opponent's defense. This 4-step process should be applied to every game and most moves to increase your rating and make you a better chess player. Follow this chess rule and your games will never be the same again.